On January 11, 2026, in Haverhill, Massachusetts, Judge Simpson presided over a landlord-tenant dispute between property owners Haverhill and Clark and defendant Jeffrey Thompson. The case had reached a critical juncture with an executed conditional dismissal agreement already in place, an arrangement that would resolve the matter without a formal judgment if certain conditions were met. However, when Thompson appeared before the court, it became immediately apparent that a significant communication breakdown had occurred. The defendant, who lacks a cell phone and has limited access to communication resources, had no idea that a settlement had been negotiated on his behalf, or that he was expected to appear for its finalization. What unfolds reveals the tension between efficient case resolution and the fundamental requirement that defendants understand and consent to legal agreements affecting their rights.
Yes, court does call the case of Haverhill and Clark versus Jeffrey Thompson. Thompson, come on up to the podium. Miss Haddad, I think, is here.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. State your name.
Hi, it's Jeff Thompson.
All right. This becomes a bit confusing because as I said, as an in-person hearing, I get that was a resolution. There's a resolution to this matter. Is that correct, Ms. Haddad?
There is, Your Honor. We have an executed conditional dismissal. There is an opposing counsel that took on this case as a limited scope representation for resolution purposes. He, I believe, was trying to log in. So I'm going to take full responsibility for the error today. I was on my way this morning. We had it on our schedule at 9 o'clock this morning, Judge, and the court's ROA reflected that. When I called the court to let them know I was going to be 10 minutes behind this morning because it's a little over an hour drive for me, I was told that it was at 11 o'clock. And so it kind of conflicted with some cases that I had. So I really do apologize for that. We do take the court's, policies very seriously. And I believe opposing counsel tried to reach out to his client. But since he is here, I guess we can, if the court would allow us to put the terms on the record, if the court would allow that.
I don't have a cell phone. I haven't had a cell phone.
What did you say, Mr.?
I don't have a cell phone. I don't have a cell phone. I haven't had a cell phone.
No. Okay. All right. Mr. Dodd, I don't have, so I'm not sure of the status of Mr. Campbell vis-a-vis this case. I get what you're saying, that was for purposes of resolution. He's now back in the waiting room. All right, let him in. Let's see if we can get this accomplished today. Have you talked to Mr. Campbell recently?
No, we tried to connect last night, but Alex Henry talked to me last night for a little while, but he's not.
So you spoke to Alex Henry? Okay, did he explain to you that there was an agreement and that they'd be here on your behalf, or?
Told me that I had to be here to be in front of you.
Okay, he told you had to be in front of me. Would
asked me to sign the paper.
Did he talk to you about the terms of an agreement or anything like that?
Not yet.
Pardon?
Not by Andrew. No.
Okay. Did anybody else? Did Mr. Campbell or anybody speak to you regarding that, or?
Not yet. No.
Okay. So, counsel, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to adjourn this out 1 week because well, where did he go?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm here. I apologize, Judge.
Not a problem. So what I'm going to do so that everything can be explained without explaining it on the record, I'm going to adjourn it out 1 week, and so that counsel can have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Thompson regarding the agreement case. All right.
Judge Simpson discovered that defendant Jeffrey Thompson had not been informed of the conditional dismissal agreement negotiated by his limited scope attorney, creating a situation where the defendant could not provide informed consent to a binding legal resolution. Under Massachusetts Rule of Civil Procedure 41A, a dismissal with prejudice requires either a stipulation signed by all parties or a court order following notice and hearing, ensuring that defendants cannot be bound by agreements they do not understand or accept. The Supreme Judicial Court emphasized in Sheriff v. Commonwealth 2019 that due process requires meaningful opportunity to be heard, which includes actual comprehension of proposed resolutions, a principle that extends to landlord-tenant proceedings under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 239. Limited scope representation, governed by Massachusetts Rule of Professional Conduct 1.2c, permits attorneys to represent clients for specific purposes only, but does not absolve counsel of the ethical obligation under Rule 1.4 to keep clients reasonably informed about the status of their matter, and explain matters to the extent reasonably necessary to permit informed decisions. Here, Thompson's limited-scope attorney, Mr. Campbell, had negotiated and executed a conditional dismissal agreement without ensuring Thompson understood its terms or even knew of its existence. The defendant's lack of a cell phone and reliance on institutional contact points at CMH, Community Mental Health, created practical barriers that counsel failed to overcome. Judge Simpson recognized that proceeding would violate Thompson's right to participate meaningfully in his own case resolution, particularly given that conditional dismissals typically require defendant compliance with specific obligations Thompson could not knowingly accept without explanation. When courts enforce agreements that defendants never understood, they undermine public confidence in judicial fairness and risk coercing compliance with terms that may be impractical or unknown. This scenario disproportionately affects unrepresented or marginally represented litigants who lack resources to monitor their cases, making judicial vigilance essential to prevent procedural shortcuts from becoming substantive injustices.
Cool.
But you've indicated you don't have a cell phone?
I don't. CMH is. I have to go there. Well, I have to be there by 12:30. But I had to give blood this morning, so they've been trying, but because of the other thing that you and I are working on, I don't know if it was official, so they couldn't do anything with me because they couldn't put me with a new case manager with Sarah Stewart.
Okay, so
I've been
I get you
the last couple of months.
So let me ask you this. If I adjourn this out a week so that you can talk to counsel, how are you going to get through to your attorney?
I'll have to call him.
You'll have to.
I tried calling him a couple of times from CMH yesterday, but he had a meeting yesterday, and then he had
that's personal. Fine. I just want to make sure you guys have an opportunity to do that. So
it's been nice.
You're going to get to CMH at some point. That's where you call from Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so at some point you're going to get to CMH. You're going to get through to Mr. Campbell. Mm-hmm. He'll explain to you what's going on, and then we can see you next week.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Okay.
All right. And counsel, if everything is done and all the documents signed, you can appear via Zoom. Although I'd like to make Mr. Dodd drive all the way out here. I'm not going to have her do that.
Judge, I would make the drive out there any day. It was just, I take full responsibility for the error this morning.
No, it's not a problem. It's just that Mr. Campbell, I saw the appearance. I thought it was for Mr. Henry. But I saw the appearance, but it said everything up to trial. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, so it was a bit confusing to me, but I'm glad I got everybody here. Yes. And so what I'll allow everybody to appear via Zoom. If you don't, Mr. Thompson, if you don't have access to Zoom, just come down. All right. We'll be here and then we'll do it that way.
Okay.
Fair enough, everybody?
Excellent, Judge. We really, truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. You take care. Take care, Mr.
Have a nice day.
Let's adjourn this out to 17. I don't have a pen.
Judge Simpson accommodated Thompson's communication limitations by adjourning for 1 week and permitting future appearances by Zoom, while also accepting counsel's acknowledgement of scheduling responsibility and demonstrating flexibility to ensure defendant access to justice. Massachusetts Trial Court Rule 8. Section 2 authorizes judges to grant continuances in the interests of justice, a discretionary standard that the appeals court in Commonwealth v. Amarote, 1997, instructed must consider the rights of the defendant, the Commonwealth, and the public. The Massachusetts Access to Justice Commission has emphasized that effective access requires courts to adapt procedures for litigants with disabilities, limited English proficiency, or socioeconomic barriers, including unreliable communication access. Under the Uniform Rules on Dispute Resolution, which govern conditional dismissals in housing court, defendants must receive adequate information about the nature and consequences of any agreement, a requirement that cannot be satisfied when counsel and client have never discussed the terms. Judge Simpson's practical accommodation, allowing Thompson to contact his attorney through CMH and scheduling around his institutional obligations, transformed a potential dismissal of the agreement into a workable path toward informed resolution. The judge's willingness to permit Zoom appearances for counsel while preserving Thompson's option to appear in person reflects the hybrid accessibility approach endorsed by the Supreme Judicial Court's pandemic-era guidance on remote proceedings, which cautioned that virtual access should supplement rather than replace in-person options for those who need them. By distinguishing between Mr. Campbell's limited scope, resolution only, and the confusion involving Alex Henry, Judge Simpson also demonstrated careful attention to which attorneys had authority to bind Thompson to what outcomes. Courts that rigidly enforce efficiency over accessibility risk, excluding vulnerable litigants from meaningful participation, converting procedural formalism into substantive deprivation. Judge Simpson's approach illustrates how individual judicial attention to practical barriers, rather than mechanical application of rules, preserves both court efficiency and litigant rights, a balance essential to maintaining public trust in institutions that serve increasingly diverse populations with uneven resources. Judge Simpson adjourned the case for 1 week to January 17, 2026, directing that Mr. Campbell explain the conditional dismissal agreement to Jeffrey Thompson before that date. The court permitted all attorneys to appear via Zoom for the subsequent hearing while allowing Thompson to appear in person if he lacked virtual access. The conditional dismissal remained pending, with final resolution contingent upon Thompson's informed consent following actual consultation with counsel. This case illuminates a fundamental tension in modern court administration: the pressure to resolve cases efficiently through negotiated dismissals versus the constitutional and ethical imperative that defendants understand and voluntarily accept legal outcomes affecting their rights. The conditional dismissal mechanism, valuable for reducing court dockets and providing defendants opportunities to avoid formal judgments, becomes problematic when procedural efficiency obscures substantive consent. Massachusetts courts have increasingly confronted this tension as limited-scope representation expands under economic pressure and unrepresented litigant rates rise. The solution lies not in abandoning efficient resolution tools, but in judicial vigilance to ensure that efficiency does not become a veneer for coercion or confusion. Judge Simpson's intervention, halting proceedings to verify actual understanding, accommodating communication barriers, and preserving defendant choice exemplifies the meaningful opportunity to be heard that due process requires. For viewers, this case demonstrates that court legitimacy depends not merely on correct legal outcomes, but on processes that respect litigant dignity through genuine comprehension and participation. If you or someone you know faces housing court proceedings, remember that you have the right to understand any agreement before signing and to ask the judge for time to consult with an attorney if anything is unclear. Many states offer housing court self-help centers and legal aid services that can explain conditional dismissals and other resolution options. Check your local court website or call your state's legal aid organization to learn about resources in your area.